Morning, guys. How are you doing? I certainly hope you're well. In South Africa, particularly Cape Town, the weather is getting chilly. So get on those warm clothing. But remember, depending on your regime and the way you do things, you can't ignore personal hygiene. You just need to find a system hack as to when you want to do a certain thing. I'm a morning shower and shave guy, but obviously in the winter the mornings are colder. So if you work from home, as I sometimes do, you probably want to take your shower later, depending on whether you're seeing clients or the level of your body odor, whether you want to shower when you come back after that first client or whatever, because the sun is warmer and the heat concentrates better on the windows. Um, yeah, it's all up to you as long as your level of comfort is fine. And when you shake that person's hand and you go in to say hello, they don't smell last night's beer on your breath. It's simple hygiene hacks. Keep those teeth brushed no matter what. Even if when you spit, you sometimes miss a little bit on your shirt collar, just lean right forward before you spit. And remember, it's not the spitting Olympics, you're simply emptying your mouth. Depending on your level of function, you even get your attendant to bring the dish closer to you. The same goes for the razor. Sometimes you wanna, and if you'll excuse me for just a second, sometimes you just want to. And in no way, guys, am I supporting a particular brand of razor. Sometimes you want to find a balance point, yes, and if you're lucky enough to be able to balance yourself on the hand basin, or in my case, I have a rail in the shower, so I just do this. You want to be able to find that elbow support and do that, or depending on your level of hand function, you go like that, or you can even move your face. It's just a little system hack which makes it possible. Now, why do I focus on what you can physically do and what you need help to do? Is so that when you are in a social situation and call a spade, when you want to pop the question and say, honey, let's legalize this, honey, will you marry me? She's gonna go automatically, and this is because of social and psychological conditioning. Now we're married and now we're working, but now when I come home from work, am I gonna have a double honey-do list? The answer's gonna sound a bit ambiguous, but sometimes yes and sometimes no. No, because we, the people with disabilities, particularly more so in South Africa, already know what works and what doesn't work for us. We know when we need to ask for help and we know how to ask for help. So I'm going to repeat this, and you'll find some of this in my earlier video chronology. Um, First stop, first listen. Listen for the instructions. And it can be anything. If you're the one that's driving the car, you may have the gross motor function to turn the steering wheel, but sometimes you want to change gear quicker. You say, honey, hit select. Just select drive quickly. When you want to do a quick 3-point turn, something like that. I know I'm just using a simple, ludicrous example, but I mean, it's things like that. And by the way, you can do a driver's test as a person with a disability and ask the traffic officer to help you put the seatbelt on. It's just that for test purposes, you do incur penalty point. So that's something to think about there. The other thing is, how open are you really when it comes to disability? How open are you when you describe the things that you do? Because let's face it, when you cohabitate to start a relationship and it becomes deeper and stronger, you're gonna need to share some of those system hacks to deal with psychological disgust. And psychological disgust is one of the most used weapons socially. Think about apartheid. All it was a psychological disgust experiment. It was one of the biggest psychological experiments to this day. So when I talk about psychological disgust, it's like, oh no, I'm not gonna do the 2 second rule thing. If something falls on the floor, I'm gonna throw it in the bin immediately. Oh no, I'm not gonna go into the male side of the toilet if I'm a female, no matter how desperate the need is. I need to go where I need to go. But System X, when you are disabled, is you sometimes have to do some things that you don't necessarily want to talk about, but in order to show the opposite party that the relationship or social engagement or conversation with food can be successful, you come to have to go through the question. And if you're mature enough or adult enough, go for it. Like, for example, the waiter in the restaurant is going to cut your food for you so that your potential partner, at that stage still your girlfriend, won't have to think every time we go out, I'm going to have to cut his steak for him. No, 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 no. The waiter and the kitchen staff are going to do that. That's why. Don't be dismissive of the parking attendants when you pull up. Because if you know, like in my case, I'm a spastic quadriplegic due to cerebral palsy. If you know you struggle to put your chair in the car, if that wino wants to come bum a $2 off of you, give him the $2. Give him the $2. Let him do the heavy lifting of the wheelchair. You can position yourself to put your axles into the wheelchair, but let him do the heavy lifting, and sometimes the heavy lifting of it. Yes, he smells of the cheap wine that looks like water. In South Africa, we call it karate water because it's so cheap and the guys end up fighting. But let them do the heavy lifting so that she already gets the picture. He already knows how his puzzle fits together. And this is going to be a tough one because I know women are socialized differently to us guys. For some women, when I have had this discussion with some women, they said no, it's fine. When you want to ask a very important question is, well, for me, I've always used it as a benchmark question. Sort of funnily, I often ask the woman, if you're in the bath and you need to pee, do you get out of the bath or do you just pee in the bath? If they say yes, no, they just let it flow in the bath because it goes down the drain anyway, then you got a shot. Because psychologically she can cope with some of those icky parts of the disability where she does need to assist. And if she says, oh no, and if it's all hands up and instinctively reaching for the serviette, then you kind of gotta think, psychologically, where is this person at in regard to me? And be careful of being used as the emotional crutch. Um, you know, just even though she may stimulate you, even help you get an erection. I'm not talking about physical touch because sex is a mind thing. And we're gonna get to erections and sex and masturbation in a second. Sex is a mind thing. So the smell of the perfume, the conversation, the tone and diction of the voice, the vocal cadence, all of that can help you get a fabulous sexual experience and even make relief of tension much easier. Perfume in the nose, the hair against the face. But I mean, all of that. But if she says, no, 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 because, we all condition as human beings, we're at the higher animal. So we all condition we can distance ourselves from our waist. But as a person that suffers from a lot of spasticity, sometimes you're already in the tub, sometimes using the urinal bottle or the bedpan's a bit uncomfortable, and yeah, you use it in the daytime, but when you're in the tub and you really need to empty your bladder properly, or make sure that the anal passages are properly clean. Hot water that you're gonna throw down the drain anyway once you're done washing the underarms, neck, and torso goes down the drain anyway. So what you want to do is you're going to do things like this on your bowel day when you shower. I know this works for me also. Sit on the loo completely naked, so that when you get under the water, after you've taken the excess off with toilet paper or flushable washlets, the water cleans you anyway. Psychologically disgusting, I know, but it does work, so that when you're in public, you don't stink like PE. You know, system hack also. It's easier sometimes depending on how your day works. I actually get a better urination when I lay on my side with the urinal. It works better for me. But I also Western style in front of the toilet and just pull myself um, onto the seat and just unzip and go from there. But yeah, and I when I transfer myself onto the bathroom for the bowel day, I sit at a slight angle because I get a cleaner shot back into my chair than doing it the stereotypical textbook way. Um, actually, this step actually works brilliantly because you get more spasms in the morning anyway. An erection is a spasm essentially. So when you and your partner decide when you guys are going to have sex, um, the mornings or when you're sometimes at your most spastic, because sometimes the warmth of another person can also relieve that spasm, but it can also enable for better sexual release. And I've noticed that on occasions where I have had sex, I had suffered less spasms. I've driven a car better. I've transferred better. I've uh, done things like urinate better. I've done things like uh, the bowel management better, clean myself better because there are less spasms. And yeah, sometimes, and what you'd find is because the sexual organ is the mind thing, if your partner is, if depending on how you guys are positioned, if your partner's legs are on top of you and she's controlling the spasms uh, from your legs that shoot up into your back, the heat of her thighs will control that spasms and you'll still be able to experience a wonderful erection and then later on have penetration, and it works brilliantly. What you want to do is you could actually just use your upper body movements to control the thrusting, because all it is, and once you stimulate it enough, your body will actually sort of naturally release everything. And yeah, so I mean, I'm not trying to be perverse here, but once you get beyond that point of modesty, you'll have a better social experience. And if you know he or she cannot cope with the level of openness about modest things, about the toilet paper theory, then you know maybe it's time to move on. I hope this video has not offended people, but I mean, I just want to give you a bit of insight into how we take a look and do things. Anyway, guys, have a pleasant day. For my fellow South Africans and Cape Townians, keep warm. For those countries that are going into the summer, enjoy the summer sun, guys. Find those ingenious hacks. Um, keep you keep yourself comfortable. And why do I focus on spasm and bladder? Is because the bladder spasms all the time. So when you think you actually need to urinate desperately, your bladder could just be having a spasm. But be careful with Botox injection and too much baclofen pump. You might just end up with a bit of a problem with a bladder infection or whatever. Sometimes spasms are good, and in terms of sex and procreation, spasms are brilliant. I get a better release with a spastic reaction from time to time. For me, I needed to learn these hacks was because I'm a complete quad. Even though I can dress myself and drive a car and feed myself, I can't do things like make my own bed. So things like prevention of dignity is also brilliant when you want to, when you need the knowledge so that you can protect your dignity. Excuse me for getting tongue tied in this last segment. Any questions, I am available. Cheers, guys. Have a wonderful day.